Let's talk more about the story. Bring in legal analyst, Advocate Romeo Nthambeleni now. A very good evening to you, Advocate. Good to have you back on News at Prime. So let's begin with what Advocate Mpofu was saying in what we just played a short time ago, arguing basically that the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, should have pleaded first in the matter before bringing about this attempt to interdict proceedings. Does that argument hold water legally?
Good evening, Tembekile, to you. And the viewers. Yes, when you are dealing with proceedings in court, you either can plead or not plead. And you can also raise an exception. With the papers that are in court, and that allows you actually not to plead if there's nothing to actually plead on. So there might be some merit in what was being said, but the challenge is that the issue is being conflated with criminal proceedings and civil proceedings, typically.
And what is it really? How easy is it to draw a distinction here as far as what we are dealing with? Yes, it's a private prosecution attempt, but is this civil litigation or a criminal process?
Yeah, what we are currently dealing with is civil proceedings with a criminal element in it. So that's why you heard that when he was talking about the plea, he also made reference to criminal proceedings and the time to plead and also the time not to plead. So those are two distinctive matters that can actually be dealt with. What is important here is that the President has the right also not to plead if he feels that there is no case that he has to actually plead to. And then the application in total has to be dismissed without him actually pleading on the papers because it is baseless. I think that is the argument which the President is actually bringing in this matter, Tembeke.
And just talking of the President, one of the arguments today laid out by Advocate Manager was that basically this litigation intends to harm President Ramaphosa, but also poses a potential risk to harm the office of the President. Is it possible to separate Ramaphosa as an individual from the office of the President when you consider that even the action that the Zuma camp would have wanted him to have taken is only that one that he would have been empowered to take as head of state, if indeed it would have happened?
Yeah, no, typically what you're raising is very important. It's at the heart of the matter because when you look at cases in law, you look at causation. Causation is very much important. This happened when the President was executing his duties, and he is, they bring a charge on the basis of his failure to act when there was a duty on him to actually act. Then now you want to separate him and you say, we want him as an individual. We don't want him in his capacity as a president of the country. You can't do that. Then that argument becomes totally flawed there because you cannot separate him. You take him on an executive action that you said you expected him to do, and then now you separate him and you say, no, we want to actually deal with you as an individual, and the state attorney and the state must not be involved. That argument is an argument that will not hold any substance whatsoever.
Is this ultimately a complicated case for the court to decide?
Not really that complicated. The court is well acquitted to actually apply its mind with the arguments that have been brought forward to actually make a very simple decision in this matter, Tembeke.
If this private prosecution bid were to proceed, if the President's application to block it from going ahead fails, what implications would it then have for a sitting head of state legally? And I wonder how precedent-setting it might even be in future cases.
Absolutely. It obviously sets a bad precedent relating to the future cases in relation to executive functions of the President. Hence, you had the correct argument by the counsel for the President indicating that it affects him in his individual capacity and also as the President of the country. So you cannot separate these issues. So I hope that we'll never have a day where we reach such at that point.
Advocate Romeo Nthambeleni, good to speak to you as always. Thank you so much for your time.